Good afternoon, I'm Shehab Khan. Nurses in England are gearing up for their latest round of strike action, with services including intensive care being affected for the first time. Nurses in half of the country's hospitals, mental health and community services walk out this evening until midnight tomorrow. Jay Akbar is at University College Hospital in London. Jay, sadly, we're getting used to these strikes, but this one seems to be more severe than what we're used to.
That's absolutely right, Shehab, because as you quite rightly said, for the very first time, nurses who work in sectors like cancer care, intensive care units and accident and emergency will be on the picket line. There are some local exceptions, and of course staff are legally required to provide a minimum level of life and limb cover, but it's still going to cause a huge amount of disruption, with around half of hospitals in England affected by this strike. It starts at 8 p.m. today and will run until the end of tomorrow. And we can't ignore the fact that this is simply going to add to the backlog of cases currently building within the health service, with some reports suggesting that the number of rescheduled appointments could run up to 500,000 by the end of next week. Now, if you ask the Royal College of Nursing, whose members are striking, they'll tell you those cancellations predate their industrial action, and they're also absolutely clear that the 5% pay rise currently on the table isn't good enough.
Our members said loud and clear that that pay offer is not sufficient. It doesn't address the workforce crisis we've got. It doesn't address the issues that we have got right throughout the health service. And they've spoken up loud and clear about that. Now it's up for the Secretary of State to put a better offer on the table that will address all of those issues for nursing staff and for patients and for the wider NHS.
Jay, what about further strikes? Could we see more?
Now, what's really interesting is that this strike itself was supposed to run for 48 hours, but a High Court judge ruled that extending it into Tuesday would be unlawful. The RCN obviously quite unhappy with that, so they're going to reballot their members. So yes, before this strike has even started, there is at least a looming prospect of more between June and December.
Thanks, Jay. The last British citizens to be evacuated by air from Sudan could be flown to the UK today. The final evacuees were taken initially to Cyprus late last night, bringing the total number of people rescued by the Foreign Office to around 1,900 on 21 flights since Tuesday. Ministers have described the airlift as a success, although many British citizens still remain in the country.
We are putting in place consular support in Port Sudan, and we've obviously got regular messages on the Foreign Office's website with up-to-date travel advice, and we would urge people to look at that, which has got information about the other exit routes from the country if people wish to leave.
In Sudan, fighting appears to be increasing despite a ceasefire meant to be in effect until midnight tonight. The army says it is attacking the capital Khartoum on all sides, trying to force out its paramilitary opponents. A man has died after a stabbing outside a nightclub in Cornwall. Police were called at 3:15 this morning to reports of a man with a knife and people with injuries in Bodmin. A man in his 30s was confirmed dead at the scene. A 24-year-old man has been arrested on suspicion of murder, attempted murder and causing grievous bodily harm with intent. Meanwhile, the FBI has joined the search for a suspect believed to have shot and killed 5 people in Texas. The man allegedly entered his neighbour's house following an argument and shot all 5 at close range. 2 women and an 8-year-old boy are among the dead. The suspect is 38-year-old Francisco Oropeza. The FBI say they believe he is on foot and may still be within a few miles of the crime scene.
We consider him armed and dangerous, and we're not going to stop until we actually arrest him and bring him into custody. But he is out there and he's a threat to the community. So I don't want anyone to think that that's something different than that. He is a threat to the community, and we need the community's help to hopefully locate him soon and take him off the streets tonight.
3 children and a baby were among 60 people who had to be rescued after a ferry ran aground near Orkney. MSPs have called for answers as a matter of urgency after the recently inspected ferry had a major incident and had to issue a Mayday message yesterday evening. And finally, Freya the walrus became somewhat of an unlikely celebrity last year as she toured Northern Europe, sunbathing on docks, chasing ducks and hopping on boats. But in August, authorities in Norway decided to euthanise her, saying the public attention was causing her stress. Many disagreed with the decision, and some worked together to produce a fitting memorial to the ill-fated mammal. Barbara Holmes has more.
It was a solemn celebration for a character who had brought so much joy to so many. But the people behind this life-size bronze statue of Freya the walrus say they were motivated by anger.
This is how human treats wild nature, but it is also how human treats human. This is how we treated Freya.
Walruses are usually found in the Arctic, but Freya made the coast of Northern Europe her home. She was spotted in Northumberland, Shetland, and several Nordic countries. Her pastimes appeared to be sunbathing, frolicking in the water, and making herself at home on small boats. But last summer she appeared in Oslo, moving further and further into the Oslo fjord. The public were asked to keep their distance, but didn't, prompting Norwegian authorities to make the decision to euthanize her, saying she appeared stressed and may be a threat to those who came too near.
Først til avlivingen av hvalrossen Freya.
Her death sparked outrage. Campaigners raised around £20,000 for the memorial. It will stand not just as a reminder of Freya, but of the difficult choices our changing environment is forcing us to make. Barbara Holmes, ITV News.
That's all for now. We'll be back at 6:30. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Bye-bye.